I have a theory that most people don't actually know what a good romance anime is. I believe that most people can't actually tell the difference between a good romance and a bad one, but rather that they like the idea of a good romance. They're in love with the idea, so therefore they're blinded and all of it is good. Okay, like these two might seem like they're the same thing, like these two might look like they're the exact same thing, but they're entirely different dimensions of thought. Firstly, the idea of a good romance is finding a show where you think you like the girl or boy enough to where you can self-insert yourself and to some extent be like, God, I wish that was me. All these shows do is fill your head with dopamine, clouding your judgment, making you believe all these hypothetical situations and what ifs of perfectly constructed delusions. Don't worry, I remember a time where every romance I watched tickled my pickle in such a way that I couldn't help but feel this exact feeling. The downside to all of this is eventually my pickle went soft. Every show I watch now just doesn't hit the same, as I feel that romance has fallen into the same category for me as isekai. Seeing the same formula regurgitated over and over again is just too much for my little monkey brain to handle, and I simply can't have any more of it. This was until one day I was doing very hard philosophical research when I stumbled upon
Goth mommy.
After I saw this, I grabbed my nearest gimp suit, strapped on my Lightning McQueen socks, and got ready for an adventure. Golden Time is a revolutionary masterpiece when it comes to the romance genre, because it's essentially an isekai, but instead of getting reincarnated into another world, you get reincarnated into the same world and gain no powers except amnesia. We're introduced to Talabanri, who up until this day has been living his life as a normal high school student, but he decided on his last day of high school, he said, fuck it, we ball, and he's gonna confess to his childhood best friend. So naturally, while he's waiting on the bridge, he encounters the final boss of every single anime to exist, a motor vehicle. So the motorcycle bumps into him, knocks him into the water, and as a result, he ends up getting amnesia. Because of this, he is reborn, but instead of gaining the powers to defeat the Demon Lord, he instead gained the powers of having a sleep paralysis demon. See, the thing is, his former memories and his past self are all still there. They're just in a spirit form now. So his past life is always gonna be there watching over him, judging his every single move and making sure that he lives the worst life possible. After all this, he ends up leaving his hometown because he's looking for a fresh start. Because even though he doesn't remember any of his friends or family, they all still remember him. So he's always carrying that weight, knowing that he's going to continue to disappoint them every day that he wakes up and he is in his past self. Then we meet cute anime girl. Kagakoko is an obsessive, overbearing, needy, borderline stalker who's obsessed with her childhood best friend, where she lives off a delusion that they'll inevitably get married and that he's just playing hard to get. So yeah, she's a completely healthy and regular individual with no problems whatsoever. She does this to the point where he ends up resenting her, because she tries to force marriage and all that kind of stuff down his throat non-stop, that he ends up hating her because of it. So this is where our hero, our main character, our pioneer of Riz, swoops in and takes action. Banri becomes best friends with Yanagi, but it turns out Yanagi loves someone else. But Banri loves Yanagi's childhood best friend, who loves Yanagi, who loves someone else, and his spirit Skinwalker is still in love with his old childhood best friend, therefore creating one of the worst love triangles I've ever seen in my life. Any of this making sense? No? Perfect. How much are you really thinking about the shows you watch? Like, really though? Or do you just look at whatever's trending and popular and go like, yeah, this is peak. This is peak. Have you ever critically thought of what peak means? Like, actually? You see, because I could be like, yeah, this thing I like right here, this is peak, right? But I wouldn't say that out loud though. I just want you to take that into consideration when you're determining if something is peak or a masterpiece. So of course Banri and Coco end up getting together, but eventually the baggage catches up to them. But what some people call baggage, I call the strong fundamentals of good character design. Like, yes, knowing the exact sleep schedule of the person you like, to the fact that you knew that they had Arby's last night at exactly 7:21 on a 40-degree Sunday night, and how they're going to have to get up at 4:21 in the morning the next day in order to relieve themselves with a massive shit, is integral to the plot, is not baggage. That's called Riz. But I believe the reason that this anime is so good is because it delves into the relationship and it goes into the problems deeper than just the initial surface level stuff. There will be times in the relationship where they're facing problems or having an argument that you really think, man, the relationship is cooked. But the fact that they're able to face these problems and move past it in the relationship only to make it stronger is what truly puts this show above the rest. Now yes, there'll be times where I'm looking at the arguments and I just think, man, this is some shit I'd see on Reddit. And all it does really is raise my blood pressure, because I can't stand seeing them argue over the most stupid shit and have them potentially end their relationship because of it. But I believe that the fact that this show was able to make me feel anything at all proves how invested I truly was, because I'd rather feel a huge amount of rage about a show than absolutely nothing after watching it. And it's these little experiences that this show takes full advantage of, as it takes you on a journey through each of these characters, and it shows you their individual battles and how they face them, while at the same time trying to become the best versions of themselves for their other person. It's all of these factors that make this show just feel so raw. It's truly such a breath of fresh air in a genre that's been needing it for such a long time that I can't help but truly want to recommend this show. All of this is enough to keep me invested, and that's without even mentioning the other characters and their own subplots, and how they each have their own individual journeys and hardships that they have to overcome. I feel I've barely scratched the surface of what this anime is truly capable of, and I think you need to experience the rest of it on your own.